Well, unfortunately, I lost some of the. Well, I stopped recording for a brief period of time, which was not very long, like a couple of in-game months, but long enough for me to skip the conclusion of the war. And much as you'd have expected me to win that, I kind of lost by default because King Robert II assigned a new Lord Paramount to the Iron Islands, and the guy who holds Sharp Point at the moment is the High Lord of Pike. So he's considered to be the Lord of Sharp Point, and his liege lord is now the Lord Paramount of the Iron Islands. Previously, that title was held by the King, which allowed me to acquire individual territories within the Iron Islands, or controlled by the Iron Islands. Unfortunately, it's no longer possible. So, we weren't able to make a claim on Sharp Point. And also, you'll notice a heck of a lot of the surrounding crownlands now belongs to the Reach. I'm devastated to keep disappointing you like this, but I'm hoping that Arianne, who I believe is in her 50s now, will die soon. Give me a little foothold, something to work with here. I have been trying on multiple occasions. It's not a case of strategic or military competence so much as just kind of poor luck. Every time I start a war to claim something, it's inexplicably granted to someone else. But it's okay, because it looks as though Stannis has got some downtime, so with his beloved wife. I think sponsor entertainment at the local court's a good option. It's a small price to pay for a 25% fertility bonus. Would be really swell if Arianne would die at some point. Now I can't help but notice that Stannis is the heir to Dorne. I've no idea why that's the case, because surely Stannis III as her father would be the one to inherit beforehand. I'm not really sure what's going on there with the inheritance. Doesn't make much sense to me, but hopefully that'll change over time. Maybe it'll work itself out, hopefully. Looks like there's a pretty major rebellion going on in the Westerlands. Also notice that the Stormland seems to be rather split up at the moment. I can imagine that's because of the Bucklers being put in charge, and they're not exactly familiar lords of the Stormlands. We're just going to send our Master of Laws to fabricate some claims on South Cracklaw Point now. We did have them in the Whispers, but now that's part of the Reach, so even if we do get a claim, it will require us to go to war with the entirety of the Reach, and it's not really worth it for the Whispers. So we're going to go ahead and try and claim South Cracklaw Point, which is in the Crownlands and much more doable. Yeah, the line of succession seems to be very, very odd for that for Dorne at the moment. I'm not sure. I really hope that fixes itself, because, well, otherwise we don't get control of Dorne, which is kind of what we've been anticipating this entire time. I will kinslay to get that territory. I do not care who I have to step over. Can't help but notice that Medic has a strong claim on the Stormlands. That's the Lord Paramount of the Reach, Medic Meadows. Not ideal, because obviously he has a massive territory, and so, well, frankly, I don't know why he's not already trying to enforce his claim, because he has a really strong claim, and he has a huge army and a huge territory. It's quite bizarre. I've just realised that Lady Melenda of Claw Isle, her territory is likely to go into the hands of, I suppose, Robb Stark when she dies, which is unfortunate. It's a shame about the Fog of War, because now I have no idea what's happening in the Stormlands, really. It does lift when you get this high, but obviously you can't see troop movements at that point. So it's it's a war. Basically, Blackhaven have started a war to claim the Stormlands for Lady Lysa of somewhere. I'm sure she has just as much claim as the current lord has, which is to say that they're all filthy usurpers, and this territory will be mine. Ah, Taisha's pregnant, so there we go. Hopefully a son this time. Well, I can start a war to claim Dorne if I really wanted to. I don't really want to, though. I'd rather just inherit it. That seems the easier way of going about it. Looks like the Westerlands are going to bring that rebellion under control very soon. They seem to have, well, not so much the advantage of numbers, but their enemies seem to have split off into two smaller armies, which is kind of necessary when you're navigating some parts of the Westerlands, because it doesn't have much in the way of food to support the troops. But what it does have is quite a large number of troops, and also it's a very bad idea to really split your troops that far apart. If you're going to have them in two chunks in the same territory, and there's like a larger Westerlands army milling around, then what you really need to do is have the two chunks near each other so that they can reinforce one or the other. And in fact, it's a pretty good tactic for drawing them in. Quite often, if you've got an army that's about to reinforce a smaller army, which would give you the advantage in numbers, the AI won't really care. But if you have all of your troops lumped into one province, they'll probably try to beat you. Now, we've had another son, and it's only right that he be named Stannis as well. He will be the fourth of his name, of his particular variation on that name. Now, I can kidnap my own daughter, or at least attempt to do so. And I have a feeling that that might rule her out in terms of the succession, because I do not want her to inherit Dorne. That should go to me. There's no reason why it wouldn't. Now, I'm just going to try and get a few people round to my cause. The best thing to always do is to order them in terms of plot power, because there's no real point wasting time or money with people who don't have much sway in the matter anyway. So we'll give Barristan a little money, and oh goodness, what is this? He has declared the Second Iron Throne Civil War. This is the Lord Paramount of the Stormlands for elective succession in the Seven Kingdoms, which is to say that we'd essentially have a Prime Minister or President rather than a King, which, to be honest, defeats the whole point of Crusader Kings. It's even in the name, Crusader Kings. Fortunately, he probably won't succeed. Looks like plenty of my vassals are on board with the idea of kidnapping my daughter for me. To be honest, I feel as though this is just one thing I would be able to carry out myself, but sure, you know, we can rope a whole bunch of lords in if we need to, I suppose. How many people does it take to kidnap a 6-year-old girl? God, this got dark real fast, I'm sorry. We, of course, are going to support our king. He will no doubt have the advantage of numbers, although it appears as though the North is fighting against the Crown in this? I'm not really sure. Yeah, the North has actually joined the side of the Iron Islands. Dorne and the Vale have joined the king, but okay, so this might be a little... It kind of all depends on what the Reach decides to do, to be honest. They're currently fighting a civil war. Oh my goodness. They're sending 42,000 men to go and kill an army of 1,400. Stop sending men over there, just... Oh, I got third place in some kind of tournament that's happening at the same time as this war. Ah, Lady Ellen of the Iron Throne is not the child of King Robert, but product of adultery on the part of her mother and another man. And he wants us to basically fight them. So essentially it's claiming that the king's daughter is illegitimate. Even though he has a son anyway. But they're going to go to war over that, it would seem. Now... okay, so Stannis will be leaving the castle to go into the countryside, and there's an ambush to try and capture her, because... fantastic, alright, okay, she's been captured. Finally, Stannis is imprisoned by me. kidnapped my own child. It's all for the greater good, though. She can't be the one who succeeds. Now, I could execute or exile her, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I don't think people would look too kindly on it. We'll leave it be for the time being, I think. I mean, this probably seems a little crazy to you guys, but you know, sometimes you gotta take the big risks for the payoffs, for the real payoffs. Now, selecting an ambition here, I would probably... Well, to be honest, I'm not sure what I'm leaning towards. What I want is Dorne. I guess I could have become a Lord Paramount as my goal. That does just give me prestige, but I suppose it's something, isn't it? So yeah, we'll select that one. Cool. God, yeah, he's 18, and he's already kidnapped his infant daughter. He was a paragon of virtue pretty much until then. Oh, she's only 3. I thought she was older.